Hello, this is Sarah V, and today I would like to start sewing a new project. I think I was a little torn between two projects, between making my white blouse or this dress. And I just think it'd be good to get it off my plate because it's been on there since last spring. Anyway, the pattern is Butterick 6674, and I believe I would like to sew the view. I think view C, but with the pockets from view A. And the fabric I have is this floral home decor fabric that I got at the thrift store at least 2 years ago. So yeah, that's what I got today. And I would like to get that started because I haven't sewn anything up since March. And that's just no good. So I guess I'll see you over at my cutting table. As always, I started things out by laying out my fabric neatly, and I very quickly realized that my skirt pieces weren't going to fit on it in this orientation, which I could have avoided if I would have looked at the instructions, but here we are. So I just cut out some of the bodice pieces first while it was still in this orientation before moving on to cutting the skirt pieces out. If you haven't yet met the wee little kitten at the beginning, she's not super wee, but if you haven't met her yet, I introduced her at the end of my Joann haul video. Her name is Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea was actually in the curtains the whole time I was filming this part. And in the one part, when I'm standing in front of the curtains, she's actually trying to attack me through the curtains. And then every time I go to peek at her, she runs away. She's like, "Who, me? I'm not trying to catch you, not me." I've been doing a lot of gardening lately, and my strawberries haven't been a very bountiful harvest yet. I need to put it in a bigger pot because I don't think I want to put it in the ground till next year because I want to plant the asparagus with it, because I've heard that planting asparagus with strawberries, they can work well together because the strawberries cover the ground and keep like the weeds from growing up, but the asparagus, they grow their roots down farther than the strawberries, so it kind of works out. So I thought I would try that out. So I don't want to plant my strawberries into the ground till next year, but have them all in pots this year. And I put a bag on one of the strawberries to keep the birds from getting it, and I think a little chipmunk grabbed it off, took the bag with it. It was just a little organza bag with a drawstring, and ate it through the bag. So there was that. But there seems to be a lot of strawberries starting to grow on it now, so hopefully it'll be more bountiful soon. Although, the most bountiful stuff in my garden right now is dill, which I had to pinch the flowers off the other day, and spinach. And then I have some lettuce, but it's not like growing as rapidly as the spinach is. And I'm hoping I'll be able to keep those throughout the summer, as long as the tomato plants beside it provide enough shade and keep it cool enough, because I think it would be nice to have them all summer. If not, I could try planting them again later in the season so I have them in the fall. But I'm completely new to gardening, so we'll see how that goes. So I think I'm going to do this more of a vlog style because I'm trying to get this done today. I have the bodice pieces sewn together, not sewn together, I have it pinned together ready to be sewed. Same with these darts. And I did go to the Joann again because I was worried that they had closed already, so I drove up to see if they were still there and ended up getting a bunch of this alpaca yarn that nobody wanted because they were like black, brown, gray, that type of colors. I got some more buttons, which I added to the rest of my buttons. I got a little bit more fabric while I was at the Joann. It went from 60% off with an extra 50 if you bought the whole bolt to 70% off with an extra 50. So I got some more. Not quite as excessive as last time, but this one was originally $30 a yard. There were 5 yards on it and I paid $22.49 for it. This one was also $30 a yard. There were 6 yards here and I paid $26.99 for it, and these are the wool blend suitings, and I've never bought these before because they're $30 a yard. That is why I kind of waited to buy them, and it didn't seem like anyone else seemed interested in it, maybe because it's spring and these are kind of fall fabrics. Then I got this houndstooth one, also originally $30 a yard. This one had 3 yards on it and I paid $13.49 for it. Then I got this brown one, also originally $30 a yard. There was 1.5 yards and I paid $6.75 for it. Then I got this smocked fabric for making dresses, originally $20 a yard. There was 5 yards of it and I paid $14.99 for it. Then this is the last quilting cotton that I got. It was originally $10.99 a yard. I got 6 yards of it and paid $9.89 for it. Then I got this sportswear fabric, $19 a yard. There was 4 yards of it and I paid $11.39 for it. Please disregard that mess back there. That is my upcoming sewing pile. I need to do something better with that. Then I have, this one was $13.99 a yard. This is cotton sateen. In another blue. And it was 1.5 yards and I paid $3.15 for it. Then I got this canvas, originally $13 a yard. There was 8 yards of it and I paid $10.39. This one was 80% off with the extra 50% off. And I figured it would be nice to make a sewing machine carrying tote type deal. Then I got this. It's missing a little bit there. $16 a yard. It is a black cotton fabric. There was 2 yards and I paid $4.79 for it. And then I got this red sateen, originally $14 a yard, and there was 3 yards of it and I paid $6.29. So yeah, that is what I ended up getting. And I will probably go one more time, but I don't believe any more fabric that I actually want unless I get some kind of home decor fabric to make curtains for my bedroom. I am currently trying to get this done for tomorrow, which is why I'm trying to get it done so quickly. Because I have a bridal shower to go to tomorrow, and I am thinking whenever I go to the wedding that I might want to make a dress out of this fabric. So we'll see how that goes. For my garden, I bought all of my seeds last year and I started seedlings. And they got too leggy because I didn't realize I needed a grow light to keep them from getting leggy because I grew them in my breezeway in front of a window. So I used what I could of them and then I bought some from the store, but some things I direct seeded. And I did marigolds, and last year I bought 2 different varieties of marigold, dwarf bolero and crackerjack marigolds. And I didn't realize until yesterday that the crackerjack ones are going to be 3 to 4 feet high. That's how tall they're going to get. And the dwarf bolero ones, I think it's more like 1 foot. But I just hope they don't crowd out the other plants. If not, I might just have to pull it and start some more not crackerjack ones, but the dwarf bolero ones. But maybe it will provide shade to some things that need shade, especially if it gets really hot this summer. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be fine. But whenever I picked out the seeds, I was like, ooh, variety. And now I'm just like, oh dear. That's a disappointment. But hopefully it'll turn out fine, because they're all mixed through my garden. I don't know which ones are what right now. I'll just have to see which ones stay short and which ones grow real tall. Because they all look the same right now. And some of them are bigger than the other ones, but I also sowed them at different times. So there's that. It's probably quite clear that Scooter is the #1 sewing cat in this house. Mostly because probably, I don't know, I've had him since he was a kitten. And he's been sewing with me since I started sewing clothes, so I don't know, he just likes to be with. But I do feel like in general, the cats aren't in my videos as much as they used to be, just because we're not squished into a small space like we were where we used to live. Because where we used to live, they would just hang out in the living room with me because there wasn't that many more rooms than just the living room. But now that I have a sewing room, well, my cutting table is in the living room, but I'm more separated from the living room. The cats still hang out in the living room, but they also like to sleep on the bed upstairs, so. But I do like it when they hang out with me when I sew, as long as they don't try to eat things they're not supposed to. I'm hoping I get more wild raspberries this year, because I cleared out the bushes around them and put them on trellises, so they have more support because they don't have the bushes to lay on anymore. Especially since whenever I first cleared out those bushes, we got some pretty windy storms. But I do think, I don't know if I'll have as many blackberries as I did last year, which is fine because I do prefer the raspberries more. But I do like the act of going out and picking berries. I think last year I quit picking my berries halfway through July because I was picking 8 cups a day. And there was still more berries showing up every day, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I had 4 or 5 gallon bags already in my freezer. I had made like pie, probably at least 10 pies, a bunch of different baked goods. So I just let the birds have the rest of them. But now that I took those bushes out, there's more blackberry canes popping up in the middle where there wasn't before, because I know their root system's underground, but it's just for the fact that they have the space to now. But we do have to still dig up stumps, because there still are some stumps and they're growing, the bushes are growing back. Not super, well, kind of fast, but it's just like little stick here, little stick there with some foliage on it coming out of the stumps. But I need to take care of that. Another thing is we had a snake living in a pile of bricks that was in the middle of those bushes, which I saw the other day, which made me kind of nervous because they're over by my blackberries. And I recognize that the snake's not going to intentionally try to hurt me unless it thinks I'm going to hurt it. But I'm scared because I don't have a lot of experience with snakes. But I haven't seen him recently since I moved a couple of the bricks, because we were putting the bricks down on the edge of my garden fence so the bunnies couldn't get in, because I like the bunnies, I just don't want them in my stuff. So I got like landscape staples and stapled the bottom of the fence down to the ground with a mallet. And now the fence is really secure at the bottom, and I haven't seen the snake. But there was a dead snake in my neighbor's yard, so maybe, maybe not. It's just a black snake. I don't know if it's just like a black gardener snake. But again, I don't know a lot about snakes. I just worry about my berry picking. Another exciting thing is that we've been in this house for almost a year. And right before we bought the house, I bought all those seeds because I wanted to start a garden, and I didn't get around to it, so I started my seedlings this year, so then I had to actually start the garden. So that was, I guess, the little push I needed, but now it'll be ready and I'll have a garden next year too. And I'm hoping the chicken wire lasts me a couple years, because I put chicken wire around it. And hopefully it doesn't just rust out. Now, I wouldn't say that this is the worst fit. It's pretty decent. It's not the worst across the bust. It is. I do have some extra room in here. Maybe about at least 1.5 inches on each side. There is going to be a tie. This is just one that I made when I was 17. But I don't have the actual tie made up, so it might, because this gets attached to the skirt, it might look fine still with the tie. I don't know. I guess, if it looks bad, I guess I'll take it off the skirt and then take the sides in. But having a little bit of room isn't the worst thing in the world. But yeah, and then all of these edges get finished with bias tape. This is the center front. I have the center front matched up. No, wait a second. I do not know. I have the fold lines not matched up. I need to move where I currently have the fold lines matched up, so I need to move this over 1/2 inch on me so that maybe that will fit a little better. that, is fine. That looks about 1/2 inch. It's like 1/2 inch to 5/8 about. I would say that fits a little better. It's more, now it's like, it fits a little better in the sides. I only have like maybe 1 inch on each side now versus like 1.5. So that, I think that fixed it. Now it's not as baggy. And it does sit slightly nicer across the princess lines. It sat fine before, but now I think it sits just a hair better. This is also our first spring in the house. And whenever we moved in, we put the window units in right away because it was so hot then. It was really, really unseasonably warm. I think we moved in the Friday before my birthday last year. And it was just so hot, the cats were panting. So we put the AC units in that day. And this year, we haven't put them in yet. And I've noticed as long as it doesn't get above 80 degrees, the house stays pretty comfortable. Although it does need some more insulation because the insulation that's up in the attic is probably from the 50s. So it could use some fresh insulation and that might help with keeping it cool. But since the house is brick, it doesn't get too hot. I'm also disappointed that the man who owned this house last, he built this house and he did not put a fan, like an overhead fan in the living room. And that just brings me disappointment he didn't do that, so. And I also think that the windows in the back of the living room used to be able to open, but then they replaced the windows and just got windows that didn't open. Because there's window screens that fit those windows, but you can't open them, so they must be old screens. So that's a disappointment. So I have the skirt made up, and before I attach it to the bodice, I am just going to make the bias tape, which I'm super excited about. Make the bias tape for this, for the armholes and the neck hole, and potentially cut out some interfacing for the inside of the button placket, because this fabric is quite drapey, and I think that might help with the stabilization of that a bit. It is actually crazy how much I can get done if I don't take a bunch of breaks. I think I started this around 3 and now it's like 6. Surprisingly, in the winter my sewing room isn't too cold as long as I keep the door open. But it was a porch that was made into a room. So the windows in here are still from the 70s. It has metal screens, which is kind of cool. But we do need to put the window units in at some point for the air conditioning. And I think that will be helpful. And I might get a little fan for in my sewing room. So yeah. I apologize for not having a lot of sewing updates. It's mostly just been seasonal stuff about the house and the garden, because that's what I've been doing a lot of. So, there's that. But I do like to putsy around my garden and watch stuff grow. The only downside to that is the mosquitoes are really bad right now, and I've tried essential oils, and then I tried a citronella bracelet, and that didn't help, so then I had to buy bug spray. And that seems to be helping, but I probably have like 10 bug bites on one of my ankles. So it's been a joy. So I hope I don't get any mosquito-related diseases. Because that would just be wonderful. The cherry on top to the mosquito. Apparently I did not really film putting the bias on, or doing the hem, or the buttonholes like I normally do, or even sewing on the buttons, although I did do everything but sew on the buttons this day, and then the next day I put the buttons on before I left for the bridal shower. But yeah. And I did mess up the placket because I was supposed to fold it in twice. And the fold line I had marked was the fold line that was supposed to be the edge before the center front, but I was supposed to fold in the outer edge. And then it was supposed to be like double layered there with all the edges encased. So I had to undo my whole placket, had to unpick all of that, along with unpick some of the bias that I put on around the neck and part of the hem. So. But for as much as I boo-hooed about it, it didn't take very much time, so at least that was good. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I think I will get more wear out of this dress than I have gotten out of that milkmaid dress I made last year that I haven't worn. And I should try to fix that so that I will wear it, because I still don't like the way I put the straps in. It's kind of weird. I should have done crisscross in the back. It would have looked more normal, but I did not. So, but I wore this today, and I think it turned out quite cute. It's comfortable, although there is some gaping if I bend forward here, so I ended up safety pinning it to a tank top to keep it from gaping open as much, for modesty and whatnot. But it was kind of cold today, and yeah, so I wore this little sweater with it. I did go to Joann again today, and I got some more buttons, a couple zippers, a thread spool holder for whenever you're using like a thread cone with a sewing machine, a bobbin holder, some mushroom stuff. I also got some fabric to make curtains for my living room. I didn't find fabric to make curtains for my bedroom. Then I got some more of that wool blend suiting. It's a gray and white, but that's about it. There's not that much left at my Joann, and the more I go there, the more I kind of want to cry. So my Joann, it currently says 4 days left, and it's pretty sparse at this point. But yeah. My walk order came today though, and I do have my spool holder. So I think I might move this clock somewhere else and put the spool holder there. And I don't know where I'll put the clock. Maybe I'll put it over there. That could be cute. Because I do have my little sewing sign I want to hang up in here. But I feel it's like double sewing machine. And I kind of like this one over in this area. And I kind of like where the clock was before, which was like maybe there. But I, of course, didn't remember where it was at because I wallpapered over the hole that was there before, and I just used a nail that was in the wall already. But I think I'll probably end up moving that. Another thing I could do is I could put the spool holder over there underneath the shelf. That would work too. Or put it beside the cabinet right there and bump that up to there. That could work too. I have to think about that. But yeah. Mr. Scootsy, what are you doing? What are you doing, sweet boy? Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more summer sewing, please subscribe. And if you'd like to see what I'm up to day to day, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sarah V Sews Vintage. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.